What's going on, everyone? Gormy here. Today, I'm going to be bringing you guys my first guide for FM22, being that the game drops this upcoming Tuesday. So today, we are going to be talking about tactics, how to create a tactic, how to create a tactic off of the default ones that they have set up that you guys can easily plug in to your teams, and kind of how to build your team for a tactic that you are wanting to utilize. Now, before we get into today's video, the club that you guys see on the screen, Ailson FK, they are going to be the club that I am doing for FM22 over on Twitch. I will flash up a thumbnail real quick of what it is going to be. It is going to be a building a nation save. Norway is currently ranked 23rd, I believe, in European competitions. So we are going to take them from 23rd into the top 10, try and get some European glory with them, and become the best team in Norway, while also helping produce some of the best players in the country for the national team. It's going to be a lot of fun. But before we do get into today's video, please feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you guys do happen to enjoy the video, as it does help out the channel and getting into the YouTube algorithm. But yeah, with all that being said, let's get into the video. Alright, so first things first in creating a tactic, in my opinion, you're going to want to come to your squad screen. Majority of the time, it will be set up like this. It'll show you transfer value and all your players. You're going to want to go up here to the top left, click on General Info, and you're going to go down to Reports. Why do you go to Reports? Because it lists all the players' best positions, their best possible role, their best duty in those roles, and their current ability. Helps you a lot on what you want to kind of build your team around. I know I'm blocking some of the people that are down low, but you're wanting to focus on the players with ability that are 4-star, 3.5, 3-star, at a level like I am, where I am in the second league in Norway. If you're in the Skybet Championship, you're going to want the players that are 3-star and above in your starting 11 day in, day out, game to game. If you have a player that you're really wanting to grow that's like 2-star, 2.5, make sure you are surrounding them with very, very solid players. But that is the first step in realizing what you want from your tactic. You want to see, okay, what type of positions am I going to be able to utilize? Who is the best in those positions? What roles am I going to have to implement into my tactics? And what type of ability in my players am I going to have? Because if you're trying to implement a Pep Guardiola tiki-taka in the Vanarama National League, it is not going to work. Those players are not set up for, I guess, that necessarily playing in that style of football. You will have to be more direct, more standard, and play a 4-4-2, 4-3-3. Very basic stuff at the lower levels, but the higher levels, you are definitely able to explore playing a Pep Guardiola tiki-taka, or trying to play like Jurgen Klopp, Thomas Tuchel, like any manager you want to try and bring their ideologies into your tactic and make it a little bit more complicated, because you will be able to have players such as like 4-star ability players that can get the job done in those areas. But if you have a bunch of 3-star, 2-star, 2.5, whatnot, you definitely need to tone it down a notch and play more simple football. But getting into the tactics screen, I have it freshly set up. This is what you are going to see. You're going to have to choose a tactical style. Now, you've got control possession, which ideally aims to dictate play and patiently wait for openings. It gives you a diagram right here so you can see how it would essentially work with your squad. It has some pre-made in possession, in transition, and out of possession instructions. Same with a pre-done mentality. You've also got Gegenpress, which instantly wins back possession and high-intensity running. Now, Gegenpress was tweaked this year, so you kind of have to realize, okay, what players do I need to be subbing in, subbing off, and at what times to make a Gegenpress work 100% of the time, because your players will get fairly tired, being that it is high-intensity running and stamina. You definitely want to have players with a little bit higher stamina this year within the game. Then you have Tiki Taka, which dominates possession, relentless pressing, and patiently wait for openings. Like I was saying, it's kind of like Pep Guardiola. He really, really mastered that at Barcelona, and a lot of teams like playing this way now. You also have vertical Tiki Taka, which is essentially the same thing with dominate possession and relentless pressing, but it is an emphasis on moving the ball vertically rather than side to side. So it's still moving the ball up, sometimes mainly through the middle, but still in those triangle formations, and they're still very, very good. You then have wing play, which looks to get quality crosses into the box and overloads wide areas. Route 1, which is quick transitions and direct passing, which would definitely work pretty well, I would say, for the lower league type teams in a 4-4-2. You have a fluid counterattack, which soaks up pressure and more expressive and fluid counterattacks. Direct counterattack, which soaks up pressure and direct and structured counterattacks. You have Catenaccio, which looks to nullify the opposition's attacking threat and highly structured defensive approach. So if you're wanting to play a very defensive style of football because you don't feel that you can just dominate the league and you want to kind of try and dominate it defensively, definitely try and give Catenaccio a go. I've never personally used it, but if you want to have more of a defensive mentality, definitely give it a go. And then there is Park the Bus, which is low in structure, defensive shape, and restrict space in the final third to your opponent, which once again, it is a more defensive mentality. Or you can create your own style. But one thing I want to highlight real quick, you see these thumbs up right here on fluid counterattack, direct counterattack, and Catenaccio. All three of those are saying, all right, this is more suited to your team's style of play. It is what your assistant coach, assistant manager will recommend to you based on the team that you currently have. So if you are wanting to do that, you're brand new to the game and you just want something that is more recommended to the style of play that fits your team currently, definitely give that a go. If not, pick a tactical style that you would like to attempt to use with your team. But if you are a veteran to FM, definitely feel free to create your own style. And for the purpose of this video, we are going to be creating our own style. I like using a 4-3-3 defensive mid wide this year. I feel it's very solid. Now, when creating a tactic, like I said, you need to realize what you have available to you. I already know that my team eventually is going to be set up in a 4-2-3-1, but for right now, it will most likely be set up in a 4-3-3, just because I don't have exactly all the players that I would like to have currently. But it has the 4-3-3 can sometimes turn into a 4-2-3-1, depending on how you have the player instructions. Because essentially, when you are setting up a tactic, this formation is how you line up defensively. Once you get into the attack, the player instructions take over. So that is why I like having central midfielders. Just the central midfielder role, because you can literally create whatever type of role you want from a central midfielder role, or even a fullback role. Same thing here. You You can create a wing back out of a fullback. You can create a complete wing back out of a fullback. Same with inverted winger, no nonsense. Out of the fullback role and the central midfielder role, you can create your own. It's very, very nice in that sense, to where you can have them do exactly what you want them to do. But yeah, when you are setting up a tactic, realize the formation you choose, that is the defensive formation. Once they go in attack, player instructions take over. All right, so now as you can see, I've got the players in the formation, in the tactic that you guys see here. There have been some changes though. So the changes that I have made are making my left winger an inside forward on attack, my central midfielder that was on support a central midfielder on attack, and then both of my fullbacks that were on support are now both wingbacks on support. Now, the reason why I have a inside forward on attack and a central midfielder on attack is because, as you guys can see over here, both players are ideally suited to playing in those roles. If I had put them as a winger and then like a deep line playmaker, their role ability would be completely different. Now, one rule of thumb that I have is you want to at least, in my opinion, the ideal number is having 3 players on attack on the attack duty for your tactics. You want at least 3. Minimum 2. That is when you have a 2-striker formation. You want both of them on attack, unless you are running a 4-3-1-2 and you're rocking a shadow striker. You have one of those strikers play as a deep line forward to allow the shadow striker to get forward, because shadow striker can only play on the attack duty. But with tactics, if you go with 4 attacking players, just realize you can most definitely get caught out in certain situations. But getting into why I have these players and these roles is based on their role ability and based on how I want us to play. I could have easily created a wing back from the fullback position. Like I said, you can. But I really like the way that the wingback plays this year. Another one that I really like is the complete wingback. Now, the complete wingback is going to be very, very attacking compared to a wingback. A complete wingback really forces themselves up the pitch, whereas the wingback kind of does what it says it does. Now, you will see down here the dark green and then the light green. The dark green is what I have added to this role, and then the lighter green is what is already on there. I have added almost something to every single role, I believe. Now, with strikers, I suggest putting shoot more often on, because they are strikers. You want them to shoot more to get to ball in the net more. Now, sometimes if they are playing a deep line forward on support, you want them to move the ball more, so you may not want to put shoot more often on. Same with a false 9. Now, inside forward, I put crosses aimed at far post. I believe crosses aimed at far post are going to be very, very OP this year. They have been so far in the beta. Keep in mind, it's beta. So it is definitely subject to change come full release, but also throughout updates throughout the year. But crosses aimed at far post, there we go, I can English. Crosses aimed at far post, I really, really like. And being that the winger would be within this area more so than the inside forward, I have the inside forward crossing to the far post, and then the winger crossing to center, because then he can hit both the advance forward and the inside forward on attack. Now, the central midfielder on attack, I did move into channels and tackle harder. Moving into channels means he will go left, right, up, down, like everywhere. If you want to put on roam position, that'll help him even more getting in to move into channels. But I also added tackle harder. I highly suggest with your midfielders and your central defenders that you add tackle harder because you want to win the ball back. Those are mainly the players that are going to be doing it for you. Now, your fullbacks or wingbacks will definitely do the same thing, but you want them marking tighter, in my opinion, and locking down on key positions, which you can actually add that. You can make sure that, say, you want both your wingbacks to lock down the opposing wingers. You have your right back lock down the opposing left winger, left back lock down the opposing right winger. It'll definitely help out your team and keep those wingers in check that you are playing against. But a central midfielder on attack gets further forward, so he will get into this area. And central midfielder on attack was one of my favorite roles in FM21, and so far has been one of my favorite roles in FM22 as well. Same with box-to-box midfielder. It is another very solid one. And it essentially, I have him playing just like the central midfielder on attack. The only thing different, obviously, I have moving the channels to tackle harder, but he roams from position. So he will definitely be a little bit more defensive than the central midfielder on attack. We have a defensive midfielder on defend, obviously, because he's a defensive midfielder, but you can also put him on support if you want him to get a little bit further forward up the pitch for you. But all we added to him was tackle harder. Once again, how I suggest having your midfield tackle harder. Same with central defenders. That is all that I added to him. Now, I highly suggest when it comes to your central defenders, do not force them to play a role they're not comfortable doing. I had done that last year. I was lucky I got away with it at times. If they are more suited to playing, as you can see here, as a central defender on defend, definitely do so. Definitely do so, because otherwise you are going to lose ability. So definitely play a player to their strength, especially if you were in lower leagues, kind of like I am here in Norway. But the one role or one position that I don't really mess with instructions is the goalkeeper. Sweeper keeper is basically the only one that adds anything to the role because there isn't a whole lot to add. Because if you look at the goalkeeper, you have tackle harder, ease off tackles, take more risks, take fewer risks. That is about it. So not a whole lot to do there with the goalkeeper. But keep in mind with the tactic, the roles that you set to your player, that is what they're going to do in the attack. Defensively, this is the formation that they are going to play. That is two key things you need to take away from tactics. Next, we are going to be looking at tactical style here over on the left side. You've got mentality. It's either very defensive, cautious, balanced, positive, attacking, or very attacking. They're all very self-explanatory. If you want to be a very attacking team, you go very attacking. You do not care about defense. You want to score goals. If you want to go very defensive, you think you're going to get mollywopped by any team you play. That is what you do because you will not be attacking at all. You'll be playing for a draw. Or basically playing not to lose. Defensive is the exact opposite of attacking. It is not as defensive as very defensive, and attacking is not as attacking as very attacking. But attacking, still pretty potent, and defensive, still pretty potent defensively. Cautious and positive are the ones that I would suggest to newer players. Same with balanced. These three are the ideal ones for newer players to the Football Manager series. Positive, it leans more towards balanced, but has an attacking mentality. Same with cautious, leans more towards balanced, but has a slightly defensive mentality. And then balanced, just the best of both worlds. Very self-explanatory. Now, when you are in possession, you get to choose the attacking width, how you want to approach and play by passing into space, how you want the ball to proceed up the field, how you want to proceed in the final third, passing directness, tempo, all of that. In transition, you've got when possession has been lost and when it has been won. You have goalkeeper, what they are going to do when they are in possession of the ball, where they're going to distribute to on the pitch and how they're going to do it. Are they going to just roll the ball out? Are you going to throw it long, take short or long kicks? When you are out of possession of the ball, this is your defensive shape, as it says up here. As you can see, it is the 4-3-3. And like I was saying, it depends on what roles when you are in attack, because when it says when possession has been lost, you counter press, boom, push out left, right, up, down, whatever. When you counter, everyone just goes up besides the defensive midfielder and the two central defenders. If the defensive midfielder was on support, he would probably go up as well. But definitely keep that in mind when you are in transition, how you want to proceed. And when you are out of possession, it is your formation that you have set. Now, I'm going to go ahead, set this up, show you guys how I would set up this tactic with in possession, in transition, out of possession. Then we'll go over it very quickly. All right, so here we are. I have it set to a positive mentality because I want it to be slightly more attacking, being that I am not in the top division of Norway. I am not going to expect my players to be able to play attacking or very attacking football just yet. We have to work our way up to being able to do that and being able to do it well as well. Now, when we're in possession, I would want them to play a little bit wider. I want there to be a little bit more space with our passing. Now, with the approach play, I want us to pass into space, overlap on the left, and play out from the defense. Why do I only want us to overlap on the left? Because I have someone on the winger duty on the right side, because the winger is going to stay wider and push up a little bit forward. I have the inside forward on the left side, so he is going to cut in. So I want the left wing back to overlap and kind of play just like a winger. And kind of have the same mentality as a winger, but obviously be defensive. When we're playing out of the defense, we are going to move the ball up from the center backs a majority of the time. Now, keep in mind, if you're playing out from the defense, you're going to clear the ball less often. When your defenders win the ball, they're going to look to move the ball back up the field immediately, not just clear the ball away and give the team a throw-in. If they're under pressure, of course, they'll probably clear the ball, but otherwise they're going to look to counter immediately once winning the ball. Work the ball into the box because I feel that is the ideal thing. Shoot on sight, I used for a little bit last year in FM21. It's just sometimes my players would shoot just to shoot, so I like working the ball into the box. Passing directness, left it on standard because the shorter you go, the more technical your players need to be and the better they need to be. If you have it more direct, it can kind of be the same thing there, but if you have it more direct, there's not much creativity. So I want to leave it on standard for this, and then a higher tempo because I want it to be a little bit quick. I don't want it being too slow. Then when we are in transition, counter press and counter. So we counter press to win the ball back, and then once we have won the ball, everyone goes. Distribute quickly to our fullbacks and center backs. I did not put any distribution type on there because I don't care how the ball gets out to them. Just I want the ball to get to my defenders, and then we go. When we're out of possession, I have it on a much higher line of engagement. So the forwards and the midfielders are going to push higher up the field to press the goalkeeper to try and force mistakes, press the defenders to try and force mistakes, and a higher defensive line so that they're not too far separated from the rest of the team, because see here on standard, very spread out with the forwards, but then you kind of close it up a little bit and it seems much, much better. More often trigger press, which last year was pressing intensity, so just more often pressing intensity. I would definitely have to make sure that the team does not get too tired in doing so, but that would be pretty easy to make sure that does not happen. And then prevent short goalkeeper distribution. That is why I have a much higher line of engagement. I want to force the goalkeeper to kick it long to where my midfielders and defenders can win the ball, and then we counter immediately. So that is kind of how I would set up a tactic, how I break down tactics when I'm setting them up. What can I do with a tactic? What can I do formation wise? What roles are best suited to my players? What type of ability am I going to have with my players? And what type of success will be brought to the club that I'm managing due to how I set up the tactic for the team? So that is it for today's tactic guide for FM22. You guys will be getting more things like this here in the near future, being that the game is about to fully release. So if you guys did happen to enjoy, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, have a good one. Bye-bye.